Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode. And that's a journey into beyond the ordinary. And it's funny because I'm looking at our topic, and that's why journey came top of mind when I was saying beyond the ordinary. And we're journeying into the new. And that's not just the truth, but that's the topic today. And what's emanating from that? What's these edge of these boundaries that we've held that we're venturing beyond? And if the boundaries felt like we're at the precipice of something that we might fall into or learn to fly, what's beyond that? Again, what's really the new? It's not even the edge of where we were before. It's a whole different perspective for me. And I'm so grateful for tonight's guest. Many of y'all know her. But the way that she carries forth the wisdom and embodies it and then translate it through the multiple channels that she has, it's really extraordinary and so heartfelt and present. So we're going to get into today's conversation. We're going to open up Q&A also, because I love it when we do Q&A with Shelley. So if you want to ask a personal question, take the opportunity to do so. And to do so, all you have to do is raise your hand at the bottom of the screen or type your question into the chat box, and we'll keep the dialogue going that way. And for any of y'all who are new, which there was a lot of new people for BTO, I love that you guys are writing in saying how much you're enjoying and loving the show. Let me tell you a little bit more about Shelley, other than she just feels like a sister. That's just, it's that love and support. But Shelley is also the owner of Trinity Esoterics, where she's worked as a hypnotherapist, as a therapist, as a writer, spiritual advisor, and speaker. And she's internationally recognized as a channel of Archangel Gabriel for the past 17 years. And Gabriel, by the way, has been coming up for me a lot lately. So again, this is a particularly special call for me because of that. Now, Shelley's originally from Ontario, Canada, and she's now based in Southwest Florida. She remains dedicated there to raising spiritual awareness in the most straightforward and simple ways possible so that you can embrace your own empowerment. And with that, Shelley, welcome to tonight's show. It's so great to have you here.
Oh, thank you. You know, it seems like it was so far away that we were going to have this call, and I can't even believe that we're here. So I'm so happy to be here finally.
Well, and journeying into the new, it's really so relevant, because over the last 8 months, maybe a little bit longer, there's been these new ways of helping your clients that you weren't aware of before. It's like you're just bringing forward, I can't even say channeling. I don't know what it is. How would you describe these awarenesses that you're having and how you're translating them in the work that you're doing?
It just continues to grow and evolve. And I think part of it is being really dedicated to my own spiritual journey. So, you know, and we're all going through this massive change. We're all shifting so profoundly. And I think part of it is my own embodiment process that allows me to maybe receive a little bit more or understand a little bit more what people are going through. Seems that information comes through clearer and easier as we move forward into the new energies, which I know a lot of people have been noticing. They're having way more awarenesses that, you know, more consciously aware than ever before without really having to try for it. It feels just kind of natural and flowy. So I think it's almost, you know, dual, triple, quadruple shifting that's happening in all of these different layers of the shift that we're going through on the planet, what we're going through personally. And just wanting to show up in new ways, being willing to be led, being willing to receive is such a big part right now as well. So it's such an interesting time to be here, isn't it?
It really is. And actually, you mentioned being willing to receive, because that can, it's like there's some places that we know that we're closed off, but there's other places that we're not even aware that we're blocking off the willingness to receive.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just such this, there's so much more at play.
Yeah.
So what comes through your awareness of, especially as you work with clients, about how receptive they really are to that willingness, and the work that you use to help transcend or expand the capacity um, of that willingness? I don't know how else to word it. Yeah.
Well, I think if anybody's showing up, they have a willingness. It's meeting them in the space of that willingness. And sometimes we can't make the giant belly flop. Sometimes we have to do incremental steps, and that's okay. Everyone has their own way of doing things, just like everyone has their own way of getting into the pool. But what I've come to learn is that it's all very valid. Even if you're moving a little tiny slice, it allows you to get at something underneath, and it allows you to gain confidence and new awarenesses and expansion. And it's all forward movement, no matter what speed you're going at. So it's interesting, people are just in different levels of readiness, but it's all perfect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that really does make sense. And again, that points to me the grace of your awareness that you bring in with people through sessions and the other work that you do. Because it's in that non-judgment and really seeing the perfection of the openings that are available, that's where we find the light. That's where we find the threads that become our expansion.
Gabriel really helped me with that. I used to, in the early days, think everybody should be moving at a certain pace. I think that's really common with a lot of people that do this work at the beginning. And Gabriel's given me this analogy that we're in a Ferrari on a racetrack, and we're just, we're zipping around the track. And maybe the people around us are on foot, but it doesn't mean that they're not moving forward. And just because we're in accelerated growth, we could lap around and stop next to them and roll down the window and say, "Are you ready to get in yet?" And then they're happy with their pace on their feet, and we're like, "Okay, good." And then we go do another lap. I mean, it's all perfect. And so that really helped me kind of find the humor in it and seeing how everybody's moving forward, and it's all perfect. So it just allowed me to kind of accept it and not have an idea of how it should look for other people.
I get a lot of comments. And I'm not sure, I don't know why I'm going this route, but I'm really being called to it. That in interpersonal dynamics, in relationship dynamics, a lot of people feel, if they're listening to the show, I won't say a lot of people, I get a lot of comments, people that feel like they're the Ferrari and their partner is the one that's lagging, right? And in that there's a lapping, and there's a frustration or hope of being met, and the partner's back here is like, no, I'm okay, kind of piddling around, kind of riding the donkey around the lap instead of the Ferrari. It seems that extreme. And how do we balance that out? How do we know when it's integrate for us to do that dance with the pacing, and when it's okay to disengage either temporarily, at least energetically, so that we can go on our journey and so we can still honor theirs without judgment? Or when is it times like, you know what, I need to jump on a different track because I need to, this track only goes around in an oval, and I need curves and I need all these other things.
Yeah. We hear this so much, a lot of times, if we're on a spiritual path, we really want our partners to be on a spiritual path as well. And, a lot of times it's just not on their to-do list, or they're more of an embodiment of where you want to get. So they're not interested in learning and practicing. They're just more interested in being it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I used to have this kind of thought that I was more sophisticated or more advanced than my partner. And Gabriel checked me on that one day and said that a lot of times these people, these partners that we have, are actually giving us a chance to get caught up, because they were the more advanced ones in another time that we've had relationship with them in another lifetime. So they're going to be on the side of the road because they're giving us a chance to catch up to where they were. And I thought, okay, all right, because we're only seeing one little one little fractal of what's going on. So, I can study all day long, but my partner often is better at being in unconditional love than I am.
Wow.
It pains me to say it, but it's
Wow.
true.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
That's so fascinating. So as and again, I somehow was guided to go into that, and I had a lot of comments are coming in for that. It's like there's a part of our heart or our hopes or expectations that's really wanting to transcend these things that we've held on to that we feel will set us free. And for me at that moment, that takes me to the edge of what we're transitioning through and up to the edge. And it takes us into, again, what you'll be talking about more in depth today is about journeying into the new. So what is that journeying into the new? What are the energies of that? What in your awareness of your newness, because it's new, you could describe as far as you've gone, what is it that's calling us forward, and how do we take a bold step into it?
Mhm. I just have one last piece that Gabriel's in my ear that he wants to share about the relationship piece. He said a lot of times we consider ourselves as spiritual workers being the ones in service. But in fact, if your partner is not spiritual, but they're providing space where you have the freedom to do that, their service is allowing you to be your service.
Mm,
So just another piece that he wanted to offer that
that's
might be helpful
beautiful.
to people.
I love
So
that.
the journeying program, it all came to be from me and a dear friend deciding very innocently, not even knowing what we were doing, that we were going to get together on Skype and have a chat and just make sure that there was nothing that we didn't need to clear up before the December solstice and before we stepped into the energies of 2022. And I had no idea this program was coming. It literally birthed itself just from being in the space of curiosity and let's check it out. And it's been comprehensive and profound and transformative. And I'm still learning new things about it, which is so cool. But the thing that I hear from people time and again, everybody wants to know where they're blocked. We're all so concerned about where am I blocked? Where am I blocked? And this journeying system that birthed allows us to figure that out for ourselves. And I think it's so much more powerful when you can find out for yourself what your blockage is and feel the energy of it and see it and gather that information rather than having someone else tell you. Because when somebody else tells you, there's always still that little doubt, like, how do I know that they're right? Or, when you're experiencing it for yourself, you know what you've seen, you know what you've felt. And not only that, but this program has presented concrete steps on how to address that for yourself once and for all, to completely neutralize it, to take back your power. And I mean, that's so in line with the energies that we're in right now. We're moving forward into our empowerment. So this is so in line with what I want for people to be able to see for yourself what's going on and be able to address it and know what to do and know how to have that healing and how to move into a space of peace so that you can step into your fullest potential. We've all heard, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And in a sense, this proves that. This allows you to journey within yourself. So I think a lot of times people think maybe I'm not a good enough meditator, or maybe there's realms that I don't have access to yet. But this is traveling within your own soul. This is gathering information from within yourself. So you can't not find it. It's part of you. You just have to know how to get there.
Beautiful. Wow, so much coming through. I've had a challenge journeying into the new with an aspect of it that I'm acclimating to. I'm becoming aware. And the new always, there's this anticipation of, oh, there's something new opening up and going into it and all that, but a part of us doesn't want the new. And also the levels of receiving when you do step into that, that can, it can seem like it's too much sometimes
Yeah.
because we haven't learned how to acclimate to that level
Mhm.
of being so blessed truly in different ways through the awareness of our consciousness awakening of what's available to us. Not that it wasn't there before, but it's like we see it in a different way, and it's almost hard to take in sometimes.
It can be. And sometimes that's your inner child aspects
Mhm.
that are just feeling a little unsafe or unsure, that are in a healing process with you because you've reintegrated them. So they're testing safe attachment with you. So that's actually a sign that there is healing going on.
Mhm.
But one thing that I didn't tell you about when you journeyed was that's made such a profound change for me. I can't even put it into words. Was the opportunity to be reparented by spirit.
Oh wow.
And so I kind of stumbled into that. Um, and so I've been being reparented over the last, I would say 4 or 5 weeks now. So it's an ongoing process. And every time I go into meditation, I can see myself a little bit older. So I'm in my 20s now, which is fascinating to me because I expected that it would probably end at 18. But why this is so, I think, pivotal and transformative to people is so many of the enlightening human beings have had abusive backgrounds or challenging childhoods. And there's a lot of reasons why we choose that for ourselves and a lot of reasons why we go through that. But this is the opportunity to fill in the blanks, to get parented the way that you always deserve. So you have an opportunity to move into your fullest potential.
Mhm.
And I think that's what we're all wanting to do as we step into the new. This is really about wanting to step into our fullest potential without the blockages, without, some of the things that have made it difficult for us to thrive. And this process has been so fascinating to me. It's been transformative in that I'm finding myself easier with myself. A lot of us have worthiness issues because of what we've gone through. And when you've been parented in such a way by spirit, in a way that you've been truly enjoyed, it's transformative is the only word. And I know that I'm using it a lot, but it really is transformative. And having new awarenesses of things and different reactions without even trying hard for it. So it's almost an opportunity to move into having the full experience that you always deserved as part of this entire package.
Wow. That explains so much, Shelley. So I can't remember what month we had the session and when you took me through this process, but it was before I left for Peru. Um, and as you talk about the repatterning, I was in a deep process in South America, and just in deep, just meditative, just I was journeying, going in, and I felt myself going back into the womb. And
Oh,
from
I'm
the
full of
womb, and from the womb being rebirth, but to a different experience of who my parents were. It was the integrated parents rather than the parents with the fracturing. The potential of what I'd hoped they had been, and as I could see them as whole rather than the ones that were raising me through their own suffering. And so in that journey, I felt even my cells
wow.
acclimating to that new reality and really dissolving the timeline of my physical experience in this one. That's so fascinating. So that makes so much sense, Shelley. Wow.
I can't believe that.
You opened that portal for me in that was a gateway for that. Thank you.
Well, how fascinating is it that you didn't even know about that, but yet that also
No.
occurred spontaneously within your journey?
Wow.
And this is really, this isn't about this is not about vilifying your parents.
No.
This is about taking the gifts that you got from the experiences that you had with them, but also having an unconditionally loving source to fill in the gaps.
Mm.
And there's just so much about it that I find so fascinating. Gabriel had talked so much about us doing this 2-for-1 lifetime,
Mm.
and how, everything that we had lived up to a certain point would become like a past life. And when he first started talking to me about this about 3 years ago, I wondered, I wonder what the delineation point will be between the old and the new. And I thought, oh, it'll probably be different for everybody. I was wrong. It was actually 2020 and 2021.
Mm.
So what happens is when we're done one incarnation, we consider it a job well done. We've done all the things on our to-do list. We go home, we do a life review. But we actually stayed in the body and did our life review. And that's why we were so slowed down in 2020 and 2021.
Mm.
It was in preparation of stepping into the truly new, which is 2022 and beyond. So we're actually in it, even though it may not feel like that, but I can explain why that is in a second, if you like.
Yes.
But so I think that everyone's preoccupation with the blockage, I got to get rid of the blockage, I got to find out where I'm blocked, is because we don't want to drag the energy of the old
Mhm.
into the new. And I think that's exactly why.
Wow. So tell us more, get into these other aspects, please.
Oh, the energies of 2022 and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, the way that Gabriel explains it is he says, we have landed in the new. So he said, imagine if you've come off a long flight and you land at a new airport. You still have to wait for the people to get off the plane, and then you have to wait to get your luggage. And, you're inside an airport, you have really no bearings, because all airports pretty much feel the same. You haven't even been outside. You don't really feel the energy of where you've landed yet, but you have landed at your destination. So we could just be waiting for our Uber right now to take us to where we really want to be, and having more of an experience of the new. The other thing I think to really remember is we often don't get our feet underneath us in a new year until around the equinox that we've just come out of the energy of. And this is not just a new year, but it's also an entirely new phase. So we've moved into a much longer phase that holds the energy of the two versus the one phase that was, the 1111 that was so prevalent in, the last 20 years. That was the solitary journey. Now we're moving out of the solitary journey into the energy of the twos, which is connection, community, support, joyful supported service versus martyred service, major theme that we're shifting out of right now. So, and there's so many layers of what's going on.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I love that what's coming up on that. And how have you been helping people, again, to redefine that martyred service? Because again, that's an energy that's just, it's been so prevalent, and to disentangle from the codependency of that.
Yeah, that's such a
It's
major
a
thing.
huge journey.
It is. It is. I think more and more we're generally becoming aware of the need of self-love, the need that our service needs to include us as well. It just seems like that's part of the evolution of what we're going through. I think we're seeing people get more reactive because they're so out of balance that they just really can't continue on in the old painful, exhausting ways. And the beautiful part about getting too uncomfortable to continue the same is that's the moment you surrender. And the moment you surrender, you actually, can up level very, very quickly.
Mm.
So there's just so many layers, but it's all about moving into our empowerment, our embodiment. And that's another major theme of what's going on. We're embodying now.
Mm.
And that comes with its own set of challenges, but we're ready to let go of those old blockages. We're ready to reclaim our power. We're ready to make empowered declarations and neutralize those old themes and move forward into our fullest expressions of self, whatever that might look like, so that we can step into the new in our beingness and be comfortable in that space, because it is through our beingness that we are of our highest service. And it's through our growth that we serve the whole. I mean, that's what's driving the shift, is every time we come home to ourselves is what's driving the shift.
Yeah, amazing what's flowing through. And again, I love how you explain it, because you make it so accessible. because in these shifts also, it's and stepping into the new. One of the mechanisms is our perception of safety
Yes.
and how we have relationship with that. And I'm wondering how our consciousness and how we're evolving with the concept of safety, that it doesn't have to be this anchor that keeps us tethered into events of the past. Because from my perspective, many of us create our future based on our past. And if it's anchored on that, it doesn't create the stable foundation for the new that wants to get created.
That's right. Yeah. So I think the reparenting piece, I mean, where do we first want to experience safety or have an experience of safety, hopefully, is within our family unit. You know, that it's coming back down to that very base level, that you can have this safe experience within yourself because you are being reparented, you are being guided, and you are safe. You know, it's always been illusion that you weren't sort of safe, even though you may have had experiences that were very unsafe for you. You're still here. You're still whole. And I think the other piece is it's almost this belief system that our innocence can be taken away from us.
Mhm.
And that's not true. You're always whole. What happens is the parts of you that want to preserve their innocence may blast off and not want to be part of what they perceive to be a very unsafe situation. But if you're at the point where you're listening to this call, you are ready to assume the role of keeping those aspects of yourself safe. And what I'm really loving about this journeying system is there's so much spaciousness and relief that comes from it, that it's not about, you know, faking it till you make it. It's not about trying and efforting anymore. It's about neutralizing what was holding you back so that you can move forward with much greater grace and ease in the way that you've always deserved to, and always on some level knew that you deserved to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the program's phenomenal, and we'll get into the program. And again, Shelley took me through this beautiful integration again that led to the reparenting thing and proved that we hadn't even talked about that. So I know that opened the doorway for it. The second he says, like, well, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I know.
fascinating.
So
So
cool.
fascinating. So y'all, we're going to go through the special offer here. I think it's really important, and I want to open up to Q&A as well. So if you guys want to raise your hands and ask questions, um, let's go there. This is fantastic. April has typed the special offer link in the chat box. You can click on that or go to open up a new browser window and open to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Shelley27. And that'll take you to the same page. Before we get into the special offer though, Shelley, I have to ask you, because a big question that comes up continuously is like, I want to step in my purpose, but I can't see what's coming. I want to step in my purpose, and I have these things that I want to create and I want to put out into the world, but somehow I can't get it out, and the time's not right, and things aren't flowing. It feels like everything is just stuck right now. What's happening there from your awareness, and for what Gabriel sharing with you as well?
Oh gosh, there's so many layers of that. And I think that there's been so many layers that it's become a big ball that we can't figure out.
Mm.
And we're like, is it divine timing? Am I missing something? Am I blocked? What's happening here? And I think it can be a little bit of everything. The way to always move beyond that is to use what I call the divine combination, which is surrender, faith, flow, and trust. If you know that you are surrendered and nothing's happening, it's because it's divine timing, or that there's an energetic shift that needs to occur, or there's another puzzle piece that needs to come in and it's just not time to move. So when you're working with surrender, faith, flow, and trust, so, you know, really working with your guides, show me the next steps, staying out of your own way, following the signs and synchronicities. You never have to be in troubleshooting mode about it, because it will always move at the exact speed that it's meant to move at. Sometimes we're not ready to move because we haven't integrated enough energy yet. So it's really not about forward movement. It's about integrating before you can move forward. The energies are moving pretty fast right now. So And a lot of times what would be a match to you one day won't be a match to you the next. And that's really kind of crazy making too, because, you know,
Yeah.
one day you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and this is aligned and this feels great. And the next day it's like, no, you're like, oh, what the heck? Gabriel assures me that not knowing is a gift, because when we don't know, we just kind of get curious. We don't have preconceived ideas, and that's when we can really make our greatest discoveries. If you're going through a big shift, you know, he's got this great line. He says, you know, you could be on a bridge and you don't build a house on a bridge. You wait until you land where you're going, and that's where you want to create your new foundation. So there's so many different layers and levels of things going on right now. But if you're working with the surrender, faith, flow, trust model, you really can't mess it up. If there's something that you need to be aware of, it's going to come into your awareness. You're going to deal with it and move forward. And that the reason why nothing else is really working for us but that is because that is the operating system of the new energies. And a big part of it is moving, I think, from 3D manifestation to 5D manifestation. It's not about micromanaging the universe, because from our very limited awareness, we're always going to sell ourselves short. It's about moving into 5D co-creation, which is exactly what you said. That is what moves us beyond kind of the edges of what we know. Gabriel calls it the realm of potentiality, to where those perfect matches lead. And you get there through surrender. That's how you get there. Wow. So I get that it's really confusing because it could be so many different things. But there's one answer to all of them. And that's surrender, faith, flow, and trust, really.
Absolutely. And it's and I love it also, even as we speak about this, because we can also understand that that system is a practice of, I'll call it phase coherence, acclimating to the energies that we're accessing and being able to hold them to co-create with. So when we're not in that practice, again, it helps us to attune, have relationship with it, harmonize it, and create from that place. And so it's the tension that's creating some of the harmony as well, because it's also helping to dissolve the tension in which we created before. It's this beautiful balancing that seems to be happening, and then acceleration into the new.
Yes. And the other thing too, and Gabriel tells me that this is going to be our biggest challenge, and I don't know, we'll see. I believe him, is learning how to navigate in very accelerated energies, where you have accelerated manifestations, accelerated opportunities, accelerated forward movement, because we're kind of used to the stop, start, red light, green light that we've been in. But the bigger challenge really is going to be learning how to acclimate to thinking on our feet and moving with fast moving energy, remembering what we know. And if he's talking about that, it can't be that far away. If he's giving us the heads up about it.
Shelley, I'm glimpsing it. And one of the challenges was in a manifestation, not just a manifestation, but multiple manifestations that I have to choose between now.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, hold on a second. It's like, it's almost overwhelming.
Yes.
And so we think, we ask for what we want, and here it is in multiple forms. It's like, it's like, hold on, just give me one, please. Tell me which one to choose. Tell me which one is right for me. It's like, no, you've manifested. And so that's one aspect in which I personally am having that challenge in particular areas of my life. And it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
But to breathe into it and go, okay. And then understanding that you can't get it wrong when you're there. It's just choosing, but still.
Yeah. And then, you could be in super accelerated flow one day and it comes to a screeching halt the next. Yeah. And then you think, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong at all. It's kind of the nature of the energetics that we're in right now as well.
Wow. So fascinating. Oh, this is so resonant for me. This is exciting. All right, y'all, we're going to get into Q&A here in a little bit. If you want to ask your question, raise your hand. I love this topic of the acceleration, and that's occurring.
The other thing that's, excuse me.
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
The only thing, another thing that I think we really need to be aware of is that there's going to be another whole wave of people that are awakening in much faster moving energies than we awakened in. So we bemoaned the fact that they were slow moving energies, but it gave us a lot of time to think about it and get comfortable with it. But we were tamping down that trail for the next wave to come. And those are people that are going to be awakening very quickly. And I think that those people are going to need a lot of support from us who have learned how to kind of work with the energies, because it's going to be very confusing. You know, think about your own enlightenment journey. It's confusing at the best of times. If it was moving very, very quickly, it could feel very overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. So the space that we hold consciously, and again, in gratitude for our journey and awareness,
Yeah.
even the awareness of where we've been and how we've navigated it, it's that in itself is a beautiful process of stepping into the new as we clear those energies.
Yeah.
So fascinating. This is so good, y'all. All right, I want to get into special offer because you guys need to know about this process, about this, what Shelley's put together. And there's an opportunity to work with Shelley one-on-one also, which is I highly recommend for everybody. So again, the link for the special offer is in the chat box, or type into your web browser, open up a new window and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Shelley27, and it'll take you to that same special offer page. And Shelley, I'm going to start putting some people on as panelists. You may see them pop up on the screen. But as I'm doing that, please guide us through what everybody's going to receive when they decide to go deeper with you in this way.
Yeah. So the first offer is the self-study course. And that consists of 7 classes, 2 meditations, and some incredible documents that I'm going to explain to you in a second. So in the first class, we look at the entire journeying process. We look at what it's designed to do for you, what emotions may come up with it, and the general steps of your journey. And the reason why I do that overview to begin with is I think it's much easier to surrender into having a process if you have a rough idea of where you're going with it. In class 2, we talk about how you're going to identify what is holding you back. So we discuss how your blockages come to be, the various things that can cause blocks, like vows that we make, societal conditioning, coping strategies and survival tactics, self-limiting beliefs, fears, and religious restrictions. We talk about your own personal temple of knowledge and what you use that for, and how you will discover your blockage and identify what's holding you back. In class 3, we talk all about the empowered declaration. So the empowered declaration is how you neutralize your blockage and take back your power over that theme. It's an incredibly awesome statement that you write in such a way that you can literally feel it dissolving the energy of your wound or blockage. So in class 3, we look at everything about the empowered declaration, what it is, its purpose, how it's different than an affirmation, why it's such a powerful healing tool. We have tips about how to write an empowered declaration and how you will feel when you find the perfect empowered declaration for you.
That was so profound for me, by the way, to get to that space. Holy mackerel. It was something opened up, and I can't remember what it was now because I've been in so many journeys between then and where we're sitting now, but it was pivotal for my journey.
But that, John, I love that you said that, because that's exactly how it is. When you've neutralized it, it's hard to imagine this, but when you've truly neutralized it, you can't even remember what it was anymore. That's how free you are of it.
Oh, yeah.
So in class 4, we look at the anchor statement. So the anchor statement is a manifestation tool. It allows you to embody the energy of what it is that you have always deserved and what is possible for you now that you have your empowered declaration and are neutralizing your blockage. So we look at what the anchor statement is, how it's different than the empowered declaration, why it's such a powerful manifestation and embodiment tool, how it becomes a part of who you are, and its role in creating a new future for yourself. In class 5, we look at all the energy healing steps that now happen in your journey. So we'll look at the reintegration of soul fragments, the reintegration of inner child aspects. We're going to talk about the healing waters. Oh, the healing waters are amazing. They feel so good. We're going to talk about how those healing waters spread through the past and through your ancestral lines to offer healing through all of your past. It's at this point that you have the opportunity to be reparented. And we also talk about merging with your embodied self and seeing your highest path forward. In class 6, we cover everything about your journey, what to expect after your journey, how you'll feel, how you'll know if an old blockage has been completely neutralized, what signs to look for to let you know that you've gotten it, what signs that might happen if you have a little bit more to do, supporting your body through the healing process and your inner child aspects as they heal, and how that healing might be reflected back to you. And in class 7, we have frequently asked questions. So I answer 20 frequently asked questions about journeying, such as, how do I know I'll be able to do this? What if I can't find my temple of knowledge? What if my temple's empty? What if I can't find the right wording for my empowered declaration or my anchor statement? How do I know I did all the steps right? How often should I journey? How do I know this isn't all my imagination? That's a big one. And what can I expect from being reparented? And many more. So I really try and cover all of the bases for you so that you really know what to expect before you go into your journeying process for yourself. Then there's the 2 meditations. The first one is discovering your temple of knowledge and exploring where you're blocked and gathering all that pertinent information. And then the second journeying meditation, which is where all of the neutralizing and healing and embodiment takes place. Super powerful process, but it is so thorough and concise. I'm so blown away by it. I continue learning new things about it. What's different with this package than any of my other packages is I also created some supporting documents for you. So there's a guide with instructions for journeying that you can refer back to whenever you need to. And there's also a super comprehensive document that I made all about how to write your empowered declarations and anchor statements. It has neutralizing words for common themes. It has examples of really well-written empowered declarations and anchor statements. So it breaks it all down so you'll know exactly how to write your own empowered declaration and anchor statement. There's also a private Facebook group where if you get stuck, you can ask questions, or you can just share your experiences there, or share like really yummy feeling empowered declarations that you've written for yourself. And I'm also going to have a live Zoom call afterwards so that people do have an opportunity to ask questions. So that's package A.
Before we go to package B, Shelley, I want to ask you, and this is so thorough, and it just to address some of the questions that are going to come up for some of y'all. Do we have to be able to vision or see or hear clairaudiently or have certain capacities in order to participate in this journey?
Oh, that is such a great question. Thank you for asking that. No, you don't. If you're a seer in meditation, that's great. If you're a feeler, it's equally valid. All that really matters is that you have something that you can work with. So it might be that you only see a color. You might only have a feeling or an emotion. I had one gentleman that I worked with where his space where you discover all of this was empty, and it turned out that the emptiness was the blockage that needed to be healed. So I cover all of that for you, what to expect should any of that happen. So long as you have a willingness to surrender into the process and be patient and ask a lot of questions, you'll be able to do it. You wouldn't be guided to do it if you weren't ready.
This process in this program, it's extraordinary. It's like, again, what I receive from it, I hope you receive from it and more. It's just, I'm so excited about this.
Well, it's
And
also journeying within your own soul. I'm not asking you to go to some, crazy level that you have to worry about being able to access, or that you have the energy to resonate with. This is traveling within you. This is discovering things about you within you, and you have full access to it.
Shelley, when someone goes into this process, again, when we have access to it, would you suggest, again, y'all are going to have this program, it's going to be something you can keep coming back to again. For me, it would seem natural to go to the program to another aspect, kind of once I got into the place where I can't remember what my statement was last time. It almost feels like that would be the optimal time to go into the next layer. But what's your experience with the clients that you worked with about that?
Well, I think it's up to everybody. Sometimes what happens is if we've had a really big blockage that's been holding us back for a long time, you kind of remove one big chunk, and then there's some little sub themes underneath there that you can get at now. So you may actually journey several times over kind of a bigger overarching theme over the span of a few weeks.
Mm.
And, that's quite common if you've had something big that's been sitting there for a long time. But you'll feel guided to go back in. You'll just feel nudged to keep going back in. You'll have an awareness about that.
Mm.
And, if you're not sure, you can always go check. If there's nothing for you to do, you'll be guided that you're good. You're good right now. So everybody's a little bit different. This program is not designed to be so that you can be in troubleshooting mode with yourself all the time.
Mm.
This is about having the awareness, geez, I'm really triggered over this, or, oh, I've got this awareness that this one theme is coming up for me over and again. I think I'm going to go journey with the intention of seeing what's up with that. Absolutely, you can do that. I just recommend that your first one, you always allow spirit to show it to you, because a lot of times it's something that you're not even aware of.
Beautiful. Excellent. So that's package A, y'all. It's $127, two payment option on that. And then Shelley, tell us about package B.
The second package is actually having a private session with me to lead you through your very first journey. So if you're thinking, geez, I'd like to do this, but I don't know if I can really meditate good enough, or I'm not sure about rewriting these statements, I'm happy to work with you. We can do it together. I can help you find everything that's going to bring you that relief. And then once you're done going through the personal process with me, then you have the course as well to look back to take you through subsequent journeys. And a lot of times I find when I work with people one-on-one, Gabriel will kind of show up with some advice about your empowered declarations or your anchor statements. So you definitely get a lot of extra guidance working with me. So the second package is having a private session with me for your first journey, and also having the entire course, everything that's in package A, to help you through subsequent journeys.
Fabulous. Again, I'm so excited that Shelley's bringing this back to BTO, and that's an opportunity for the first 15 people who purchase package B will have a session at this price. Again, includes the session and the whole program. And package A with all by itself, it's something that I highly recommend. If you're interested in the session, you can probably book that separately from Shelley. We have 15 here. But again, package A is powerful, and I highly recommend it. And that's $127, two payment option. And of course, I recommend everything Shelley has. So I hope you take advantage of it and go deep into this. Again, this was a process that opened up a lot for me personally in the intelligence that was flowing through. And little did I know how it impacted me a few months afterwards, and provided really fertile ground for an opening that little did I know. But again, the confirmations always seem to come through eventually. So beautiful. Again, the link's there for the special offer. Click in the chat box. You'll see it highlighted in blue. If you can't find it, just open up a new browser window and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Shelley27. All right, Shelley, let's move forward with the program here, and let's open up to Q&A if you're ready.
Sure.
Excellent. So first caller, Linda, let's go to you first. Welcome. Wait, we have two Lindas. So, okay, we'll do 5959 Linda first, and then Linda, you'll go next. Awesome.
Thank you very much, John. And I love all your questions. They really lead us into a place where we can ask the decent questions and everything else. You did a great job of that. Absolutely fabulous. Shelley, my question is, I seem to hit a block all the time of receiving money, and I give constantly.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Well, usually behind our blockages, there's a belief system. And so I find a lot of times if for people that have just enough, you could be believing that I always have everything I need, but you're not leaving space for there to be the ease. So, can you open up to the idea of there's always more than enough for my needs and plenty to spare and to share? And so usually that's where it's at, where we think, we say, oh, I'm always provided for, but we don't kind of leave the cushion there for us. It's just always exactly enough. So you may want to, as Gabriel would say, cast your net wider into an experience of having ease with that. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Shelley, it's interesting. And my questions are where I feel there's not enough. I'm actually starting to go to a deeper level and asking why I want more of what I have.
Interesting.
And the why can be illuminating.
Yeah. I can see that.
And the motivation behind it. So, but Linda, that's something I would suggest for you. What is it that I want that I don't have, and where is it that I think that I can't have it, and the why, and we can put the weight of it on money, but what if we can create that through other situations or other energies that are easily available to us, but that
John,
we make it about this other thing. Oh, go ahead.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Gabriel's been talking lately with me about the idea that it's never a money problem. It's never a money problem. It's an empowerment issue. So, and you think about it, of course, money's power. We all say money's power in whatever way. So lots of times, if there's a money issue, it's worth it to sit and say, okay, where do I have an empowerment issue? Where do I give my power away? Or how do I not want to step into my fullest expression of self? And that can be very illuminating as well.
I love this conversation because this, for me, opens up us, like you said, the seat of power within ourselves to find out where we really have been restricting ourselves. The tension of not having is leading us to deeper introspection, because there's something much more powerful than the surface need that is emerging from us. So you're not getting because it's asking, it's not even asking you, it's taking you to a place that perhaps we have been too afraid to explore. We didn't know we can explore, or the comfort level of where we were didn't really prompt us to go into an intimacy that we all seek, but the comfort was just good enough to help us avoid it.
Yeah. I'm having an awareness that in the case that we just discussed, that it could very well be from a past life where having money made that person a target. Or something, perhaps they got robbed or something happened to them from having money. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have money, but I'm going to get rid of it as fast as I can so that I don't put myself in danger. So that would be one of the things that you would definitely be able to discover if you were doing the journeying process, because it's not just about what's happened in this lifetime. It can be what we've carried forward from past lives that we don't even have an awareness of.
Beautiful. Oh, excellent. Linda,
and I was told, oh, can I say something?
Yeah,
Shelley, and I was told that in a past, I think I was a nun, and I wasn't allowed much money.
Yeah, that's super common. People carry forward their vows of poverty, celibacy, and silence when they've been nuns, because, these vows that we make them in sacred ceremony. They are so emotionally charged, and we commit to them so completely that we try to carry them forward into other life expressions. Very, very common.
Thank you.
So awesome.
Thank you both.
Thank
You're
you,
very
Linda.
welcome.
It's funny, Linda, we'll get into you next, but this is so funny. I was in the massage table the other day and I kept getting these messages and my guides are coming in. It's like, dude, it's just time. Just, smoke, drink wine, make love, do these. It's like, it's time to enjoy life. It's the energy in which you're doing it from that really matters. It's like, it's time to embody that process. So again, leaving behind those vows or what it means to be spiritual or how I can grow and all these things. It's like, God, if we can surrender into that. And again, the invitation was there. So thank you, Linda, for reminding me again of what was coming through in that message on the table for me, because it's so loud right now also.
I love that awareness, John, that it's the consciousness behind it that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Powerful. All right, Linda, it's your turn now. Thank you. Welcome to the
Thank
call.
you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm as excited as you are, John, about talking with Shelley. And I just wanted to say real quick about the money thing, because it's just a huge theme tonight. I used to carry $100 in my wallet. I wouldn't spend it. And if somebody said, "Do you have any money?" I'd say yes. Do you have money? I had yes. So it was an energetic yes. And I didn't know I was doing all this energy thing before it all happened. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm the one that put in the chat something about my husband being an atheist, and he's just so far from where I'm at. He doesn't try to prevent me from doing all of this. And then I really feel like Gabriel responded to that, and you said something very quickly. And I want to say, could you expound just a little bit more on that so I can make sure that my path with him is where it's going? And it's not me trying to change anybody. I just want to, I love him to the fullest I can, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, don't our partners give us an opportunity to practice unconditional love?
Heaven, yes. Thanks.
If you're on your spiritual path and it's obvious that whatever he believes is not affecting you in a negative way,
No.
He's not holding you back in any way.
No.
I like to think of the people that are within a relationship. The relationship becomes its own entity. And sometimes having a very non-spiritual partner creates great balance for you to go super spiritual and really expand and explore, because it's a stabilizing force. Mm-hmm. So that may very well be the case. It may be that his greatest service is providing space for you to explore and expand and become the embodied you. I mean, that could very well be going on.
He's not stopping me. I mean, the minute he tries to pull my butterfly wings off, I don't know. We'll have to have a talk.
Well, yeah, that would be a reevaluation point for sure. But if it's working for you right now, I would say if it's working and you don't feel restricted, you're not getting loud, energetic no's in your body to being around him. So you're not feeling super constrained and restricted all the time and resentful and angry and frustrated and all of those things. I say that it's working for you. That would be what I'd say.
Yeah, I think I'm the leader in the couplehood here, and I'm not trying to change him. He gets to be who he is, and I'm definitely ascending in the way I would like to. So thank you so much.
Or you're the catcher-upper, because he could have been the more evolved one in another lifetime. We don't know, right?
Wow, that's great perspective. Thank you. I love it.
I hope that helps.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Linda. Great to meet you. All right, let's go here. I want you to address this because, all right, Shelley talked about blockages earlier. And there's a question about blockages. So it's funny how things are said, but because we're so in the mire of what's coming through for us, that it's difficult to receive, or we can receive in sips perhaps. So I think this is important. And it's funny, it's another Linda. So we have our 3 Lindas today. So Linda writes, I feel that my blockage is about my voice. At times I feel sure of what to say. At other times it doesn't feel safe to say anything. Can you tell me more about that? And before you answer her, I want you to speak about blockages one more time, please.
Yeah. I mean, blockages are usually created by the belief that we are disempowered in some way. So how did that happen? Well, you might have created vows. So a lot of times we'll create these vows in our 11th hour where our ego self is trying to take back some semblance of control. So we throw out these things like, I'll never love again, or I'll never be spiritual again, or I'll never lead people again, in a desperate attempt to try and take back some sense of control. So it can, it can be a belief system that we were raised in. It can be a fear that happened from something that happened to us in this lifetime or previous life expressions. None of them are necessarily bad things. We did the best that we could do with what we had to work with at that time. And we were just trying to navigate where we were in some way that would bring us a smidgen of relief. But if we're still carrying it forward and it's negatively affecting your life right now, then it's a problem. And it's time to neutralize it. It's because we're on the planet right now to become empowered, to do our embodiment process. We don't want to drag this stuff with us anymore. And a lot of times, if you do have a blockage that's sitting there that was created from another life expression that you don't even have an awareness of, it works almost like having a virus on your computer where you're doing everything right, but things aren't working the way that they should. And you're getting frustrated because you know it should be working easier, but it's not. So I think that our souls are just wanting us to be very thorough right now, cleaning up the old stuff so we can leave it in truly like that first phase of our incarnation is becoming like a past life, and send healing right back through all of our other life expressions, through our ancestral lines. So we're not going to carry this forward anymore. And that's a great gift to our children and future generations as well. So I forget.
Talk about being of service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
You're sending ripples out in all directions.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I don't remember what the original question was.
I know I was going to repeat it. That's so funny.
Okay.
She feels her blockage is about using her voice, not sure what to say at times, and then not feeling safe when she is sure about what to say.
Yeah. So, I mean, somewhere along the line, she's been taught that speaking her truth has been an unsafe experience. So I don't know if that's happened within this lifetime or a previous lifetime, but even sometimes just asking those questions. Okay, so what happened? Why am I afraid to? What do I think is going to happen if I do that? Where does this fear come from? Is it this lifetime? Is it a previous lifetime? These are all questions that can start to bring up information for you to then start to create beyond. So if it doesn't make any sense to you within this lifetime, it probably is another life expression that you had, and you're just still carrying that fear moving forward. It's born out of some kind of a safety issue. So getting to the root of it, neutralizing it, and then creating a new empowered statement or a new empowered declaration that might be something along the lines of, I'm safe, honored and respected in my truth. You know, of course, you have to try them on energetically to make sure that, and you know that, John, because you understand that you have to try on your new empowered declaration. And when you get the right one, it feels incredibly yummy. Your heart expands and it just feels so good. But I would explore that. Where was this born? Was it this lifetime? Is it a previous lifetime? What happened to me? And if you start having an awareness, just trust it. Don't go into, oh, that's just my imagination. Your imagination is the bridge to the psychic part of your mind. So just trust, allow it to go.
Yeah, and again, the special offer, the process could be extremely beneficial for those aspects. And the empowerment statement, it just works. It's just so wonderful. So again, y'all take advantage of that. The link's in the chat box. Linda writes, thank you. Thank you for writing in, Linda. All right, let's go to our next caller. Let's go to Eileen. Welcome. And let's get you to unmute, please. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. My name is Eileen, and thank you. First of all, thank you, Shelley, for I'm a former teacher, educator, so you have everything very systematic, and it sounds like a plan, and a good plan.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, you can do this. This is the organization, and if you can't, here's the support on the side.
Yeah.
So I love that. And John, I just want to say thank you so much. I've just started coming a few months ago or a couple months ago. And this is a program that I have been watching mostly like on my own time, but once in a while I come on. So the fact that I'm able to share, ask a question tonight is really big. I've been living in 1111 for 30 years, all by myself in this process. I'm almost 70 next month, and I've been on the path since like 1970. So it's a long time, and I really get it that I'm here as a placeholder. I feel like I'm a placeholder, and I've kind of sowed a lot of my oats, but things happened very quickly in this last, from December coming into January, something so pretty profound. A lot of it has been because of John, your show and your offerings. I've taken advantage of 3. I've had some sessions, and it's just, really unbelievable. And my thing is that I'm not there yet. I'm not good enough, or I didn't do what I should really like be on a better diet, vegetarian, whatever I put myself through to think that I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
And the truth of the matter is, I had this really profound experience the other day, which which showed me that that's not true. That's not true. And I have to constantly tell myself that's not true.
Mhm.
Things aren't what they appear to be. And I'm constantly needing verification, because I'm all by myself in this. Everywhere I've gone, I've been all by myself. So real quick, 20 years I was in a program, and December 27th, I had the 20 years, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I did my service, my martyrdom. I'm done. And of course, what's next? But I'll just be here as a placeholder. But I wanted to know if Gabriel, who is actually a very favorite of mine, has anything that he could say to this old soul to guide me a little bit at this point.
Yeah, as you were talking, the most important thing I wanted to say was, for those of us that have been on the path for a really, really long time, and you've been on the path even longer than I have, and it feels like I've been on it forever. I think that we've almost created belief systems from being solitary creatures on the path. It's almost, we've had this belief like nobody understands us, nobody gets me, nobody is like, I don't have any energetic peers, I don't have any help, I'm all by myself. Please release that. Please start to work with that chatter, be aware of that chatter when it comes up, and then ask what else is possible, because you are in brand new energies. You don't want to drag that forward. Let that go. And start to say, okay, I'm going to surrender into supported, joyful service. I'm going to connect with my energetic peers. I'm going to find my community. Spirit, show me the next steps. I'm surrendering into that experience. Worthiness issues often, it's super common, very, very common. I found the reparenting has been phenomenal for helping with the worthiness issues that were born from my childhood. So you may want to consider that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and I think something that you bring up in conversation, and I appreciate it tremendously, because what happens in the speeding up of the energy, Shelley, you said so many people are coming online, like they're waking up and they're going through like this lightning bolt of transformation, is that sometimes those of us who've been on this 15, 20, 30, 40 years, just depending, there's a little bit of resentment. It's like, who do they think they are? They haven't experienced this. They haven't been through the ringer like I have. They don't have my experience. And it's not a linear process.
That's right. Yeah.
And so having gratitude for people awakening rather than being, and I'm not suggesting that you're resentful for it, but thinking that it has to happen in a particular way because of how long you've been immersed in your awareness.
No, not at all. I actually value the newer people coming in, because I think that they're showing a whole new perspective. At first I was a little surprised, but then it's like, wow, listen to these people. They have something to teach me and share with me. So thank you, though. I
Yeah.
wanted.
And in that, and it's funny because what I get, it's like, find someone like that you resonate with, find that matching energy frequency of someone who's gone through it so fast and are owning it.
Yeah.
Because that's I believe that's what your invitation is the ownership of it. And so someone that can do that quickly and say, this is just who I am. And for you to see that and be able to be in that vibration is like, well, they're owning it. Why aren't I?
Yeah.
And that's just going to shift so much. And so people going through that transition are beautiful mirrors for what you have paved the path for me, because in your work, without a doubt, doing it since the 70s, thank God for you
Yes.
and what you've done. So it's, I bow to you in reverence, and own your stuff.
Another interesting thing that Gabriel says, for those of us that have been on the path for a long time, he said, if we're walking around like the walking wounded and complaining about our ascension symptoms, and it's so hard and it's so awful and we're so alone, why would anyone want that? We're kind of here to be way showers. Got to remember the light part, and we want to, remind people of why they want to do this in the first place.
Oh my God, that's so true. So great. Eileen, thank you so much for coming on and asking questions, for listening to BTO. It's so wonderful that you're here. All right, let's continue now. Gabrielle, if I can have you unmute, please, it'd be wonderful to hear from you. Hi, Gabrielle.
For taking my call. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
Oh,
Welcome.
okay. I'm super excited. Thank you. So here I am, feeling like a rookie, just meditating while walking. And on the other hand, I sometimes feel I'm the incarnation of the Archangel Gabriel myself. And now, I'm so keen here to learn what she chooses to say to me on my next path, especially for not being vaxxed. New York City, big fat corporate job, 6-figure income, and now I'm like, okay, what's next? I still have to pay my mortgage and send my daughter to school and provide for my husband. So I'm very interested to hear what Gabriel has to say, or what he chooses to give me as a message. Oh, sorry. Let's see. I'm in the car. I just picked up my husband from work. Sorry.
I hope that I got the question right, because it was a little bit hard for me to hear. I experience Archangel Gabriel as a personality, as a person. I think it comes through in that way in order for me to be able to receive it. I think that Gabriel is a consciousness, and that there are a lot of us that are connected to that consciousness. So I don't think that there's necessarily one embodiment of Gabriel. I think it's a consciousness that some of us have a resonance with. Some of us have worked with him in other incarnations. Lots of us have lifetimes where we were monks or nuns and prayed a lot and had already grounded into that relationship. So what's next? Surrender into it. If you have that connection with Gabriel, you are in the best hands ever. I would say just surrender. Gabriel, show me the next steps. I am the most powerful move that you can make in your life. And I am living proof, because it is what brought me to this career, and having this conversation with you is having that grand surrender moment that just says, take the wheel. All I know is that I want to be of service, because I never could have ever imagined that I would have a career talking to an archangel. I didn't even know there was an Archangel Gabriel when I surrendered. And here I am. Your surrender is the greatest power move you can make, period.
Gabriella, you're on. I guess she fell off the call.
Yeah, I think so. I hope she got that.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's when we get into these questions, it's like, what messages are there for me? Again, you got into the system of the asking, it's surrender, faith,
Surrender, faith, flow, and trust.
flow, and trust. Oh, Gabriel's back.
That's
I'll
right.
ask you in a second, Gabriel. Surrender, faith, flow, and trust. How can we ask these questions like Gabriel's asking? What specifically is that message for me? What is it that wants to be shared? How is it that you tap into receiving information, but then surrendering to the flow of information that may or may not be accessible at the time? And then also receiving the information and being in flow and trust with it, because it's a fine line.
It's the perfect question. Thank you for asking it. We are, we all hear this. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And we are here to embody more of our own divinity, more of our soul self. And so we have our team of helpers that, you can absolutely, anyone can learn to talk to spirit. I always laugh and say Gabriel took one for the team, because I used to go into meditation all the time and beg anyone to talk to me. And I feel like he said, oh, for God's sakes, I'll talk to her. But anyone can talk to spirit. And so the surrender, faith, flow, and trust is how you work with spirit, how you work with source energy without needing to have the skill of mediumship. So the being able to hear spirit is, I'm up out of my body and I'm receiving things from outside of myself. And the surrender, faith, flow, trust model of the divine combination is living it. It is the embodiment of it. It is working as part of the whole, and the two work so beautifully together. That's the answer.
Yeah, and I love that. And it's, as that answer comes through, it's my invitation for everybody on the call, and the whole call has been amazing, but at least come and listen back to that part of tonight's call, because there's a peacefulness in that intelligence that runs through. And I think that's where we're all asking for. For me, it's an aspect of communion.
Yeah.
It's like somebody talk to me. It's that communion aspect, and we all crave that. It's such a deep level, and we can trust that it's there.
Yes.
It changes everything. It really does.
It does, but you don't need it to work with spirit. That's what surrender, faith, flow, trust does. It allows you to see how loved, how guided, how divine you are. In a sense, it almost moves you into a deeper faith if you just try it. Just experiment with it. And from there, because you are surrendered and in the flow and willing to receive, guess what happens? And you start getting more messages from spirit because you're open now. So, I mean, the two feed each other beautifully.
Yeah, so wonderful. So I mentioned the replay. Of course, the replay is always on the website at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replays. But we'll send an email out with the link on it also, just to remind you that it's there, so you can come back and listen to that impetus of this place that would love to gift you the peacefulness of relaxing into your heart. And that's why it's there. These conversations and these energies, it's to remind you it's all there for you, and you're so loved. And so here's another piece to allow you to drop into it and remember and awaken and step over the edge, because it's not really an edge.
Yeah.
It's not really an edge. It's
Yeah.
so wonderful. Shelley, before we end today's call, I'm curious of your experience with this program and these processes. What have you noticed shifting for the people who've gone through that? Like, what was the before and after, if I were to put it that way?
What I hear time and again is that people are just, it's gone. That old blockage, that old heaviness, it's just gone. It's gone. They're amazed that it's gone. There's a spaciousness, almost like a heart expansion, being more comfortable in your own body. Moving on to new things that they were having trouble even moving forward into. For myself, I found that it's allowed me to be a lot easier on myself. The reparenting, I just can't say enough good things about it. It's been incredibly profound, and it continues to be. And what I want people to understand is that with this program, it's not like you have a little hour-long session and you have a little healing and that's it. I've been having healing from this for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what it does for people. But I can tell you that people are experiencing far greater grace, comfort, ease, peace, being able to move forward without feeling like it's pushing a boulder up a hill anymore. Better flow, better guidance. And one thing that I didn't touch on that I think is really important, and I think you've discovered this, John, is that once you've done it once, you know, it's a tool that becomes very accessible to you. It sounds like it's big and complex, but it's really not. Once you do it, the steps flow one into the other, into the other. John's living proof that if there's a step that you're not aware of, it's going to come in anyways. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But this becomes an accessible tool that you can go to time and again, very seamlessly. So I don't want to make it sound like it's complex and complicated. You'll get to the point where you could be in meditation, have an awareness of something that wants to shift, go through the whole process right within that meditation without having to refer to anything and come out the other side of it. And that's one of the things that I've been so amazed by is how self-responsible it makes you. And that's, you know, I'm so about empowering people. You know, one of my best friends and I, the one that this program came through, we used to always get together and, you know, she's an Akashic record reader. So we would swap readings. And we decided we wanted to get together for the equinox to see if there was anything that we needed to look at. And I was almost afraid to ask because last time I did that, this whole program came through and I've been working so hard on it. But what was different was that we each went in and did a journey on our own. So instead of depending on the other one to tell us what was going on, we got together, but we did it for ourselves with the other one listening and asking the questions and catching little nuances that you might miss if you were doing it on your own. And I thought if anything speaks to the empowerment that this gives you, it's that. You know, it blows my mind.
It's fascinating. It's just so wonderful in so many different levels. It's so exciting. April, do me a favor and put the link in the chat box one more time so it's easily accessible for everybody. Again, the program by itself, package A, is $127. And for the first 15 people who want Shelley to guide you through this, again, I absolutely recommend that. That's $222. And again, it was so impactful for me, and the way Shelley guides it and provides the steps in such an accessible way. It's that empowerment that is available to you right there and right now is accessible. It's accessible because of it. So I hope you take advantage of it. Yeah, April has typed the link in the chat box. I was making sure that it was on there. And Shelley, as we end this evening's call, is there a final message that perhaps Gabriel wants to leave us with before we end?
I love that you call him Gabe now.
You too. You call him Gabe. So I was just like, okay, hey, Gabe.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's really been coming through to me today is please be the embodiment of peace right now. You know, I get that these are really upheaval times, you know, and we are here to be the change. And allow yourself to be the embodiment of peace, because that is exactly how we're going to anchor. That is what the whole embodiment process is about. It's not about being up out of your body and the ethers. I mean, that's wonderful and that's fun and that's amazing to do. But ultimately, it's about embodying it here. We are the change. Anchor the peace in whatever way that you can, and we'll be assisting the planet in the way that we really want to.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Shelley. And thank you so much for such a wonderful call. Just the way that you explain it and bring it in and ground it, but bring it up simultaneously. It's so beautiful. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. I was so excited for this. I've worked so hard. This is like the most comprehensive thing I've ever done. I love the document that comes with the course, How to Write Empowered. That by itself, it's amazing. So Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present this.
Oh my God, thank you for presenting it at such an accessible price, because when we talked about prices, like, you're crazy, you need to charge this much for it. And Shelley's like, we need to make it accessible for dude. Let's do it on the show. So again, y'all, it's part of the platform here on BTO and this offer for you. It truly is. We call it a special offer for a reason. And you have access to that special offer. So I hope you take advantage of it. Shelley, I love you. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I love y'all so much.
I
Shelley,
love you too. Thank you.
I do. I feel it so much. I know I can always just tap in and there you are. It's wonderful that it crosses the ethers.
Yes.
So thank you. I love y'all. Have a fantastic evening. I'll see you on the next call. Bye-bye.